Good Monday, last Monday of the month, last Monday of this month of April. Good morning, welcome friends, social media connections to this episode of Serving Veterans Who Served Us. And with that, let me welcome my co-host into today's live stream conversation. Jason, let's bring you into the studio. How are you?
All right. Usually you got a crowd cheering for me. I know. A little sad today.
We'll get your fan base and your crowd to give you that round of applause in next month's episode.
All right.
We'll get them going. So Jason, lead us off today. It seems like the weather has flipped.
Yep.
We don't, we can do away with the coats and stuff. It's safe to say.
Yeah.
We're clearly in spring, I think. Yes. Okay. So, in our business, in our industry, right? The spring market, the spring season, drop for our audience. What is going on in the business of real estate right now?
Well, spring brings everybody out and they actually start looking at houses. They get off their butts and they get after it. So that's good. We still, we're still seeing a squeeze on inventory, unfortunately, in most places, but people are getting out there and buying. So I think if you're a seller right now, pretty much no matter where you are, you're sitting in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. I am still hearing it's never for every seller, but I am hearing for most sellers who are connected with their, listing broker, seller's broker with a great plan. I'm still hearing that there are multiple offers. Am I correct?
Yeah, in some cases, if the house is turnkey and ready to go, you're probably going to get a few offers in that first week. We still have some buyers who are coming in and trying to lowball, and those are kind of fun because when you have an inventory shortage and people need to buy houses, it's not the time to lowball. You should probably come in with a good firm offer, whatever you can afford and whatever you're willing to pay for the house instead of trying to save a few $1,000s here or there. So
yeah. When I'm curious. When you're representing a seller, and therefore you get that lowball offer from a John Doe, a Jane Smith, what do? What do you recommend the seller do? I'm curious to get your feedback to that.
Well, I always recommend we counter, no matter what.
Okay.
We know a lot of people get emotional during this process, the seller and the buyer. Yeah. And if they get a lowball offer, they can get insulted. They can feel, they don't really like the house. I don't want to give it to them, this, that, and the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just got to keep those emotions in check for them and remind them, hey, this person wants your house. So let's counter them. Let's give them a counter. So, we just had one that sold for $450 cash. And, the first offer we got was $100,000 less than list.
Yeah, that's insulting. Yes.
Yeah, very insulting. And so my seller was very mad. And I said, well, look, don't get mad about it. Just counter him.
Just counter.
Counter. What do you want to counter at? And he's like, I'll counter $1,000 less than list. I'm like, okay, great. That's a counter.
That's a counter.
Send it back and let them know you're way off. That buyer went away, literally, and this is in the dead of winter. They came back like a month later and put in another offer. Now this one was like 25 short.
Okay.
And my seller looked at it and said, I'm going to wait a little longer. And, sure enough, they did get a cash offer for the full value from another buyer. But if that buyer really had wanted the house, which it looked like, they should have made that. If they had made that offer within $25K 2 months prior, they probably would have got the house in the dead of winter. So
and you knew it was the same interested buying party because you picked up on the name.
The name on the contract. Yeah.
Okay. Did they change a buyer's broker? I'm curious to get your
feedback. They had the same buyer's broker.
Same buyer's broker. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. 2 months later. It was pretty interesting. But
I like that. So you do recommend to all of your seller clients, yes, counter, take the emotion.
Always.
Yeah, always counter.
Always counter.
Yeah. Rather than like ignore them.
Yeah. Don't ignore them. I mean, at the end of the day, they're interested in the house. You just don't know how interested.
True.
And they've heard from their Uncle Bob, oh, you never offer full price. They may be taking bad advice from somebody.
Sure.
And once they see the numbers in front of them in real time, they could change their mind. I try not to predict what they're going to do in any circumstance because people be crazy.
Yeah.
You never know what they're going to do. Unpredictable. Yeah.
And in that story, I'll share this with you. One of my connections who's been trying to sell an upper bracket property, by the way, in case you're wondering, hasn't sold yet. Okay.
You talk upper bracket over $1 million, right?
Over $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. They got a crazy lowball offer.
Yeah.
All right. And then on top of the craziness, this interested buying party added this part to the offer, which is, Mr. Seller, I want you to provide seller back financing for the balance of the money. Get that? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, this is not the right market for that.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, we do believe it was probably a scam interested buying party for whatever the reasons exist. It was just kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, you gotta be careful. There's a lot of weird scams going on too. So
yeah. It's like that text you and I'm sure have been getting over the past 60 days. Pay your toll, through text. You know what?
Yeah. No thanks.
It's so funny. It's like, well, I haven't used the tollway for a while, so why am I racking up some charges?
Yeah, and if you just go on the tollway site, the official tollway site, you can look up your car and see there's nothing there. Yeah,
yeah. So social friends, our connections, don't fall victim to the scams. Yeah. Don't be trigger happy to respond to text back. Sometimes it's okay to kind of let it stew for a while and say, is this a scam?
Always check. Always check.
So I want to now move the conversation to congratulating all of you. You are looking at Mr. Jason Hinsley as the new broker owner of the next RE/MAX office in Greater Chicagoland. So
I think I have a RE/MAX shirt on too. Yep. Look at that little.
There you go. I see it. The balloon.
Yeah, in the background. It's always
the balloon in the background.
Yeah, so we're officially open. We're not in secret status anymore, so that's great.
Wonderful.
Headquarters is open in Des Plaines, right by the Allstate Arena there.
Yeah.
In Rosemont, centrally located for everybody because I'm geographically agnostic. We bring a lot of people to Chicagoland from outside, from the East Coast, the West Coast, from Texas, from all over, really.
Yeah.
And, not just help them find a house, but to find a new hometown.
There you go.
Chicagoland is huge, so you need somebody to help you find where you're going to fit in. and what's going to be the best situation for you and your family. So
great.
That's kind of where we fit in. We're right there by the airport, so we'll pick you up.
There you go. That's the strategy behind that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was just convenient because, my network personally is more national than regional. So I know more people outside of Chicago than I do in Chicago.
Right.
To be honest, I've only been in the Chicago area for about 8 years. But I've been all over the country, so it's just kind of a natural part of my business to help people move here.
Yeah.
Probably about half of what my own business was helping people with relocation. So I figure that'll be pretty helpful. But, my first realtor who is onboarding now, a veteran, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Can't disclose who it is yet because it's still top secret. They got to close out their other deals with their old brokerage.
Okay.
But, they work mostly in the south and southwest part of the suburbs of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I've got other realtors coming on board in the next 2 months who work in the north burbs exclusively. I got one who's out in the west burbs, like far west.
Far west, yeah.
I got some who are in the city in just like 2 or 3 little neighborhoods. So really anywhere and everywhere. So
wonderful. So social friends, as well as social friends who are real estate brokers, if you may be, right, let's kind of just say it for what it is. If you may be looking for a change, a new organization to support your growth and expansion, you heard it from Jason here. He's looking for a few good women and a few good men.
Yeah, my driving mantra is to put as much money as possible back into the realtor's pocket, because I think the brokerages have been taking way too much money off the backs of the realtors for too long. Yeah. Their margins are way too wide. They're making margins on a scale with oil companies. I mean, that's just crazy off of the back of the work of the realtors. If I can at all do commission splits possible for people, between 89 and 94% is what they're keeping. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just help people make more money and do their business with the most tools possible.
There you have it. And social friends, for those of you who are looking to get represented as a seller or a buyer, you heard it at the lead-in of today's live stream. Jason certainly has helped a lot of sellers. You heard it straight from him as to his way of doing business. And if you are a buyer, perhaps a veteran who is buying either for the first time or the second time or third time, I mean, he's got the experience in doing that. Jason, from what I know, I mean, you're certified as a military reload professional, and you certainly have traveled across the U.S., San Diego from the west, New York to the east, so you know what it takes.
Yeah, and if we start talking in military acronym, PCS and BAH and
bingo,
all of these acronyms that the military uses, I understand. I've been there. I've done it. So
exactly,
it's fine. If you got a PCS across the country and you're coming here, I'll help you out. We'll figure it out.
And for those of you veterans who may be now in the civilian world, you're working in corporate, reminder, you know this and I know this, you still qualify to use your VA loan benefit. So don't forget that, right? Especially if you are relocating here for your life events. And from what I think I know, Jason, kind of like you and your family, you're relocating here and then you realize, like, OMG, I get so much more for my money, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the Midwest is still very affordable. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah. It's still very affordable. Certain states may be struggling with some exodus of their residents to other states, but I think you and I both know this. Most people are moving because of life events, not always just for like fiscal reasons.
Right. Yeah. It's almost always job. Job-related. Job and then family.
Family, yes.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
So sell your two-bedroom townhome and use that in California or in New York or DC, wherever on the coast you are, or maybe in Texas somewhere expensive, and come here and buy a 5,000 square foot house with that money, because that's actually what you can do.
That's right. And then whatever money you got left over, you can certainly lean on Jason and his network to help you buy that home in the southern belt states.
Yep.
Also for probably less money.
Mm-hmm.
Less money than what you're leaving.
Yeah. And all you folks that left to go to Florida and want to come back, come on back.
Because
a lot are coming back.
I know. I hear there is that tidal wave right now for the reasons that you and I have talked about in previous episodes, you know? Yeah. So people, stay tuned. Before we wrap up today's live stream, we will share with you a simple way as to how you can start a conversation with Jason and or myself. Now, as we pivot to this third part of our conversation, I want to ask you, Jason.
Yeah.
Have you heard of, for a certain segment of consumers, sellers and or buyers, have you heard of a way where they can buy a property, maybe don't have to let go of all of their cash proceeds? You know, they'll borrow some amount of money and they don't have a mortgage payment. Have you heard of that?
Well, I don't want to lie.
Don't lie.
I would say I hadn't before, but
okay.
But since you and I do talk outside of just this,
I
have heard of that because of you. So maybe we should talk about it.
Yes. Okay. So this is no kidding, people. This is no kidding. This is for all of you who may know someone who fits into a certain demographics. And who is that certain demographics? Well,
boomers.
They kind of look like either your uncle, aunt, your parents, your in-laws. And this is a solution. I'm going to bring it up here. This is a solution where if you are 62 or older and you just sold that California home, like Jason mentioned, you're sitting on a nice pile of greenbacks. You can actually borrow money to buy your next humble abode. And as part of that process going forward, you won't have a mortgage payment. This is a very specialized mortgage solution for this demographics. And along the way, what if you are from this demographics and maybe you're now retired, you're on fixed income, whether it be a pension from the government, Social Security or whatever, can you still get financing even though you don't have an actively earned W-2 or 1099 income? The answer is yes as well. There are these unique loan solutions where you can get a mortgage. You got to have, a little bit beyond the skinny minimum down payment, but it's just so much easier because there's no verification of the active streams of income. So with all of that said, let me now bring in front of you, all of you watching us, listening to us, how can you start a conversation with Jason if you're a real estate broker looking for your next home, a different organization to support you so that you can grow, expand, and make more money? All you need to do is scan the QR code here next to Jason. He will gladly engage you in a conversation. And along the way, for those of you who are selling and or buying, and you need to benefit from my help financing this next life event, scan the QR code on the other side. We will both work as a team to help you get to your next chapter. So as we wrap up today's live stream episode of Serving Veterans Who Served Us, let me ask my music posse to play us out. Here we go. Jason, welcome. to being the next owner of a RE/MAX brokerage, and we look forward to your success. Here we go, Music Posse.